Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Jubilee Circle this morning. Thank you so much for joining us out there on YouTube and Facebook this morning. We are continuing our Via Transformativa. Our theme is Go with the Flow, and we have been exploring how we can allow life to unfold naturally and move us along the stream of this divine river of love. And in this time of pandemic, we don't have much choice other than to go with the flow and live life as life is unfolding for us. But I don't know if you have noticed lately, anybody here, but we have a dearth of trust in this world right now. No one's noticed, right?
No, not at all.
We honestly, we're not sure who to trust anymore. Should we be trusting the government officials? Should we be trusting doctors or nurses or scientists or other medical professionals? Who has the best grip on what will be in our collective best interest in these next few weeks and months? Well, of course, it depends on who you ask. And more importantly, it depends on ultimately who you trust. Trust is something we can't live without. Getting up in the morning requires a great deal of trust, as does lying down at night and assuming a state of vulnerable unconsciousness. It takes trust to move about our day, believing that all events around us are conspiring in some way to help us and not harm us. During these past few years, trust has taken a beating as the media counts the daily lies and misrepresentations that come out of the mouth of especially one of our leaders, and some even pile on a few lies of their own. So it's hard to know who to trust anymore. Jesus, however, reminds us that trust is something deeper than just believing what we read or hear or see. Trust is a matter of the heart, a matter best left to our true divine self and not that yammering, suspicious ego. Trust, the spiritual greats will tell us, can only be entrusted to that still small voice that calls from the deepest part of ourselves. When we can listen to that voice instead of the lying, suspicious voice of the ego, then we can be led to truth with a capital T, and that's something that's guaranteed to make you say, "Oh yeah." Please rise as you're able out there, or stretch out longer on the bed, however you are viewing us this morning, as we orient ourselves in this sacred time and sacred space by calling the four directions. And of course, we always remember the four elements: the wind and the earth and the fire and the water.
Let us turn and face the east. We rise each morning in trust, Holy One. We trust that the sun will come up, and we walk with trust into the mystery of the day. We give thanks, Holy One, for your abiding presence on each day's journey. We know that our trust is always merited when it is placed in you. Help us to be aware of you in new and inspiring ways on this day and every day. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the south. We trust, Holy One, that the world will keep spinning, that the stars will keep shining, and that we will continue to breathe deeply and enjoy this amazing world you've given us. Help us to stop along our journey today and take time to appreciate this beautiful and growing creation you have given to us as a gift. Help us to trust in the gratitude that you seek to grow within us this day and every day. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the west. We end our days in trust, Holy One. We trust that the sun will set in the west and the stars will rise in the east. Help us also to have the trust we need to let go of anything that holds us back from living the life you have called us to live. Help us to set aside whatever distracts us from being your channel of love and peace in this world. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the north. We walk by trust and not by sight, Holy One. Help us to live joyfully into the mystery of our lives, taking both joys and sorrows as they come, refusing to judge the world as good or bad, but instead seeing everything as beautiful and with purpose. Inspire us, Holy One, to live our lives in awe of all the miracles that take place around us in each moment, that miracle of life, of love, and especially that miracle of grace. Turn back toward the center. It took a lot of trust for everyone to join us today. Trust to get out of bed. Trust in the technology that streams us into your home. Trust that you'll find some inspiration in today's celebration. Trust that others are joining you in the virtual community this morning. The Holy constantly invites us to take our trust to another level, to one that will sustain us no matter what comes our way. In the midst of all this uncertainty, jubilance, the Holy calls us to trust in the divine so deeply that all we can really say is, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah. All right. Remain standing or stretched out or however you prefer out there. And we're going to sing our opening song, it's good that we have performers who are very generous with their music. Ricky Byers has put out something called the Chant Project, and she encourages people to use these chants that she has written with her blanket permission. And so we're singing some Ricky Byers tunes, and also Peter Mayer has done the same thing. And if you saw Peter last night, he had a fabulous show on Facebook. It's probably up on a recording if you did miss it. It's really wonderful. So, and Peter has been nice enough to give us permission to use some of his songs as well. So that is keeping us going as we move forward. So this morning we're going to sing Ricky's Ashe Ashe for our opening song. And there is a bulletin available on jubileecircle.com and on our Facebook page, so you can follow along. You'll have the lyrics and all the readings and everything you need. You ready? 2, 3, 4. Ashe, Ashe, my life is a good life. Ashe, Ashe, my life is good. Ashe, Ashe, my life is a good life. Ashe, Ashe, my life is good. Amen, amen, my heart is a good heart. Amen, amen, my heart is good. Amen, amen, my heart is a good heart. Amen, amen, my heart is good. Hallelujah, my thought is a pure thought. Hallelujah, my thought is pure. Hallelujah, my thought is a pure thought. Hallelujah, my thought is pure. Selah, Selah, my way is a peaceful way. Selah, Selah, my way is peace. Selah, Selah, my way is a peaceful way. Selah, Selah, my way is peace. Ashe, Ashe, my life is a good life. Ashe, Ashe, my life is good. Ashe, my life is a good life. Ashe, Ashe, my life is good. Ashe, Ashe, my life is a good life. Ashe, Ashe, my life is good. Oh yeah. There are those moments when you open your mouth and nothing comes out. It happens. All right. If you're waiting on it, you may be seated. Woo! It's hard to do this and when there's nobody out here. Hopefully we can come back soon. But welcome today, and thank you so much for joining us for our virtual celebration today. We are a spiritual community here in Columbia, South Carolina. If you're watching from some other place in the world, we offer inspiration, affirmation, healing, and service to live abundantly, love wastefully, and awaken to our true divine self. Jubilee Circle is a progressive and inclusive community, and we are affiliated with the Jubilee community up in Asheville, North Carolina. We're influenced by Hebrew and Christian scriptures, but we give that a metaphysical twist and read it through the lens of A Course in Miracles. We also ground ourselves in something called creation spirituality, which means that we're beginning not in a dark place of original sin, but we begin in that bright place of delight, that original blessing where God created this infinite universe, this blue boat we call home, all the creatures upon it. And finally, in that controversial and still debated move, God created we weird and wonderful and generous and creative and fabulous and frustrating and greedy and mean sometimes, just sometimes downright mean and recalcitrant human beings. And God didn't go, whoopsie, that was probably not my best day. No, God looked at all of that creation and said, that is very, very good. And God continues to delight in all of creation and invites us to do so as well. Oh, yeah. All right, so a few announcements as we move forward. Sunday, May 10th, we will still be here live for you. More original music as we explore the flow of life in our Via Transformativa theme of Go with the Flow. During the week, Carolyn Gregory is hosting some noontime meditations by Zoom. Those are on Tuesday and Thursday. Look for our Facebook page for an invitation and details on how to log in if you're needing a little bit of pick-me-up, some meditation during the week. Carolyn will be there for you. Also, I'll continue to do some Wednesday night previews on YouTube and Facebook so you can hear some upcoming songs and a summary of what's to come for the next Sunday celebrations. So watch Facebook page for time and details. I'm usually doing them around 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. So, but I'll put that up. There is a talk back on Zoom following the celebration about noonish, and the link is posted at the website, jubileecircle.com, also on the Facebook. If you're looking at the bulletin that I provided, it's also at the bottom of that. And shout out to Jim and Sandra Schmid for bringing us banana bread once again. The first time they brought the bread, and I didn't know who had brought it. And Jim said, "Oh, well, there was a card in the bag." Well, we only saw the food. So, so sorry, Sandra, but we got your card this time, and thank you. We didn't miss it this time. Sandra taped it to the top of it. You're not going to miss the card this time. That's right. We went to food. Oh, that's good. So we're sorry about missing that card. We're sure it was lovely. What else do I need to say? I was just trying to give some folks some shout outs. Beth's son Jonah and his friend David brought a new desk for the office. So it's got some nice shelves and a desk. So we're still working on the building as well, so you probably won't even recognize the place when you can come back. If you came in right now, yeah, there's stuff everywhere. So we're kind of living in the space right now because we can't really hold services. So, but we are making improvements for you for when we do come back. All right. Oh. Beth wants to know if I'm going to introduce my new guitar. This is my new guitar. This is a Fender Acoustasonic Telecaster, and it is a hybrid. It sounds like an acoustic guitar, and then now it's an electric guitar.
That's what she really wanted to do.
It's the only guitar you will ever need, but I'm not getting rid of the rest of it. That does not mean I'm thinning the herd. All right.
That's right.
That's right. Hear these wise and ancient words. The guitar doesn't have a name yet, so hey. Anyway, from this wise and
no, I'm not doing
holy man over there.
Hey, over here.
All right, get close to the microphone there, Mike. Get close to the microphone so people can hear you. For your listening pleasure.
From the Jesus story, John chapter 10, verses 7 through 10. Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." From the Tao Te Ching, chapter 49. The sage has no concern for himself, but makes the concerns of others his own. He is good to those who are good, and he is also good to those who are not good. That is the virtue of good. He is faithful to people who are faithful. He is also faithful to people who are not faithful. That is the virtue of faithfulness. The sage is one with the world and lives in harmony with it. People turn their eyes and ears to him, and the sage cares for them like his own children. From A Course in Miracles, chapter 26. All learning is a help or hindrance to the gate of heaven. Nothing in between is possible. There are two teachers only who point in different ways, and you will go along the way your chosen teacher leads. There are but two directions you can take, while time remains and choice is meaningful. For never will another road be made except the way to heaven. You but choose whether to go toward heaven or away to nowhere. There is nothing else to choose. Each day and every minute of each day and every instant that each minute holds, you but relive the single instant when the time of terror took the place of love. And so you die each day to live again until you cross the gap between the past and present, which is not a gap at all. Forgive the past and let it go, for it is gone. You stand no longer on the ground that lies between the worlds. You have gone on and reached the world that lies in heaven's gate. There is no hindrance to the will of God, nor any need that you repeat again a journey that was over long ago. Look gently on your brother and behold the world in which perception of your hate has been transformed into a world of love.
These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. Let's stand and sing. 2, 3, 4. You can say that you stand apart, put a fence around your yard. You can build a tall rampart and guard it with a gun. You can dig yourself a moat, burn the bridge and burn the boat. Won't matter that much, you know, 'cause all the world is one. All the world is one. You can march in a big parade every Independence Day. You can raise up your own flag and sing your own anthem. It will ring out in the air with all the other anthems there. To the winds of the earth declare, all the world is one. All the world is one. Go and ask the Buddha when he's sitting under the tree. Go ask Walt Whitman when he's looking out at the sea. Ask Alan Shepard as he's standing up on the moon, staring at that pearl of blue. Ask an atom in the breath you take. Ask the water by the riverbank. Ask a strand of DNA that's written in your blood. One life running in your veins, one life from one big bang. You can try and separate it, but all the world is one. All the world is one. Go and ask the Buddha when he's sitting under the tree. Ask Annie Dillard when she's up on Tinker Creek. Ask Alan Shepard as he's standing up on the moon, staring at that pearly blue. You can take an outbound train, try and make a getaway. You can ride off like John Wayne into the setting sun. But earthlings don't leave town, they just go round and round till they figure out all the world is one. All the world is one. All the world is one. You may be seated. I'm just trying to keep in practice, y'all. All right, so our song this morning is one I wrote back in 2018. There was a song prompt from my songwriting coach at the time, Kelly Porterfield, and she said, just pick up the book that is closest to your left hand, open it up, and write a song from the first line of the first chapter. The book closest to me was Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul, which surprises no one who knows me. And the first line was, in case you haven't noticed, you have a mental dialogue going on inside your head that never stops. And so it got me to thinking about the two voices that are always in our head, that ego voice that speaks first and speaks loudest, and of course the voice for God, that still small voice that beckons us to live into our higher divine self. And so this song is called One Voice. 2, 3, 4. I don't have a voice inside my head, said the voice inside my head. How it chatters on, it's never really gone, always giving play-by-play all throughout the day. Did you see what she was wearing? And now she's oversharing that nattering voice inside. It always seems so snide. I'm hungry, I'm bored. It's hard to be ignored. One voice that's louder than the rest. One voice says I know what's best. One voice that always seems so clear. One voice can lead you into fear. Back in March, when this whole socially isolating, distancing pandemic began, the annual World Happiness Report was released. You'd be glad to know. Since 2012, the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, say that 3 times fast, has been releasing this report that measures the general satisfaction with life that people in different countries are feeling. This year, the happiest place on earth isn't a Disney theme park. Any guesses?
Norway.
Sweden.
Close.
Denmark.
You're so close. Finland. The nation has taken the title for the past 3 years, and the Finns are not known for their bright and cheery demeanor. In fact, they have a word for their renowned national form of stoicism and grit. It's called sissu. Sissu, fella. Which means persistence and determination. Happiness, it seems, has a different sort of meaning for those who issue this annual report. It's really not about our emotions. It's not about how we feel from moment to moment. Instead, according to the report's editor, John Helliwell, the level of happiness, quote unquote, in any given country is based on what he calls the highest smile factor. It's not based on the highest smile factor, he says. Instead, it's based on trust. It's based on whether or not the people in the country care about each other and take care of each other and trust one another to do that for one another. It's no wonder, then, that the United States has ranked 18th in this year's report, and that's down from our peak at number 11 in 2012. We've never cracked the top 10. Given the level of distrust we seem to have of one another in this country right now, 18 actually sounds pretty high, right? Though it would make some happy to know that we beat both France and Mexico in the ratings. Yay. What sets Finland apart, though, along with most Nordic countries, is that they have set up social systems that work for most of their populations. Wow. I mean, that's amazing.
What a concept.
They have social systems that work for most of their populations, not just a few at the top. For example, 91% of those in Finland say they are satisfied with their president. 91%. And 86% say they trust the police in Finland. So the difference then is that most of Finland feels that they're in this life together, that society's cohesion is important, and that they trust the institutions that they have created to take care of the needs of the many over the selfish desires of the few. What a freaking concept. In short, they have built a society based on trust. And they have formed institutions to carry out their trust-based missions. The result is they live happier and more abundant lives. Those lives are not based on material wealth, though many in Finland are doing quite well financially, thank you. Instead, their happiness is based on mutual trust, respect, and sisu, that persistence and determination to keep it that way. This is exactly what Jesus is talking about in today's reading. They have learned to trust the gate, the sisu, that keeps them safe. They hear the voice of compassion, the voice of love and joy that calls them as a society, and they follow it together. Other voices may tempt them to trust one another less, to look out for themselves instead of the needs of others, but they have seen how a society built on trust and unity works best for the majority of them. So they only heed the voice of unity, that gate of sisu that holds them safely together. Of course, we could learn a lot from the Finns, as well as Jesus. In our Jesus story today, he talks about thieves and bandits. And those are the people that Jesus refers to in this passage. In Greek, it has economic meanings. The word for thieves is kleptes. It's where we get our word kleptomaniac. And the word for bandit is lestes, which in today's terms would actually be the word for terrorist. So by using both of these words, kleptes and lestes, Jesus is condemning both economic exploitation and violence. John Petty at the Progressive Involvement blog notes that Jesus is warning us that these kleptes and lestes are what he calls false voices and false guides. They are attractive to us, he writes, because they offer the possibility of bypassing the hard work of discernment of the true voice. And this, sadly, I believe, is what we've done in our country. We've followed the false guides, the false voices, the kleptes and the lestes that tell us it's easier to believe in the illusion of separation than it is to follow the voice for God that leads us back to the unity that we have never truly left, but we have simply forgotten in our egoic haze. Those who are happy in this world are those who have chosen unity over separation, who have chosen trust over suspicion, who have chosen to arrange themselves in power structures of some of us for all of us, instead of any myriad of forms of us versus them. As the Tao Te Ching reminds us, this is the wisest way to live. The sage has no concern for himself, it says, but makes the concerns of others his own. He is good to those who are good. He is also good to those who are not good. This is the virtue of good. This is some of us for all of us. This jubilance is how we enter the flow of trust. We listen to the voice of the gate, the sisu over the kleptes and the lestes, who tempt us to put our faith in their false voices of separation. When we enter the flow of trust, we commit ourselves to persevere, to do the hard work of hearing that one true voice. Breathe deeply. 2, 3, 4. There's another voice that speaks within, without all of that judgy spin. It speaks in lyrics and rhymes, and oftentimes it's barely above a sigh, but bids us to draw nigh. Hear its ancient wisdom, dance its holy rhythm, one with all creation and all of love's gyration. I'm joy, I'm peace, the wonders never cease. One voice that draws us to the message from the Jesus story, it's easy to gloss over all this stuff about sheep and gates, even the part about robbers and bandits, because of the last thing that Jesus says. He says, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. And this is where our ego gets all excited, because it's heard about this thing called the law of attraction, and it knows how to manipulate us around this particular concept. When the ego hears words like abundance and attraction, it starts to think of ways that it can get us off the spiritual track, to take us out of this flow of trust. And it's pretty easy to do, because whoo-hoo, we love abundance talk. Because our ego goes straight to what? Money! Right to the bank account, right. To the ego, abundance is all about material things. It's about us getting more money. It's about us getting a nice car and a nice house and some powerful position. It's all about us versus them, that seeks to be special in some way, to be more than someone else. That word abundance in Greek, I'm going to burst your bubble today. Sorry, kids. It doesn't mean anything about having more money or material wealth. Instead, it simply denotes a life that is beyond our expectations, that is beyond all of our small egoic ideas, a life that surpasses this tiny imagination that thinks that money and power are it somehow. It means that we have a life that is remarkable, a life that is uncommon. And the ego's life, it's common. It is the status quo. It can only fathom happiness as something in this material realm. But when Jesus is talking about abundance, he's talking about what's out beyond this physical life. He's talking about living from our wholeness, living from a place where spiritual joy outpaces egoic happiness, that field of life where material gains have zero meaning, that place within us that only knows love, that only knows peace. According to that famed Course in Miracles teacher Ken Wapnick, abundance and wholeness are the same thing. When we step into abundance, we are withdrawing our trust from the ego, from that ego voice. We're not following that teacher anymore. We're placing it where it truly belongs, with the Holy Spirit, because there are two teachers, our course reading tells us today. One that points to nowhere, which we just flock to for some reason, and one that points us to the gate, that sisu, that gate of heaven. The ego's insistence that we identify material gain with abundance will ultimately lead you nowhere. You can accumulate as much wealth and as many toys on this earth as you want. It's still an illusion, though perhaps a more comfortable one. All that trust, though, it's wasted in the end, because then you spend the rest of your life trying to defend all of the material stuff that you can't take with you in the end anyway. You got to have bigger houses and bigger cars and bigger locks to keep all that stuff safe. Or you can follow the voice of the Holy Spirit. Put your trust in the gate, that doorway that allows you to enter the true safety of the holy. And you may still, of course, enjoy physical wealth in this realm. There's nothing wrong with that, but we go astray when we focus on that as the goal and not just a happy byproduct of living by the Spirit's direction and not the ego's voice. And we may not have material wealth, but when we're following Spirit's voice, whether we do or not will not matter. All of our needs will be met, no matter what our situation may look like in this world. Wapnick writes, our minds do affect the world, but this is merely a statement of the power of the mind. It is a psychic phenomenon, he writes, not a spiritual one. What makes it spiritual is turning the power over to the Holy Spirit. Without Spirit's help and guidance, he says, we would merely continue to choose according to our ego's needs, rooting us still further in this world of illusion. Thus, the miracle does not give us material things. The miracle, he says, does not give us material things. The miracle simply undoes the defenses that were based on our belief in lack and which reinforce this scarcity principle. This process then returns our mind to its original and ongoing state of being one with God, having everything that God gave us in creation: joy, unity, freedom, happiness. Jubilants, this is the flow of trust, choosing which teacher to follow. Do you want to go with the one that goes nowhere, or the one that leads us everywhere? Breathe deeply. Let's sing that chorus together. 2, 3, 4. One voice that draws us to thee. One voice where love never sleeps. One voice calling us all home. One voice, no more shall we roam. According to Amherst College professor Catherine Sanderson, the most important thing about this annual happiness report, as she puts it, that it says we should care about happiness, that it's something we should measure. So what sets the Finns apart from most of the world is that they do care about happiness, and they prove it by arranging their society in a way that benefits the most over the few. And this is important because it reflects a trust, not just in the institutions they create, but a trust in one another to respect those institutions and the power that the people have granted to those institutions and those who lead them. Their institutions then become the gate, the protection they need from the kleptes and the lestes that might lead them astray. Do they face temptations as society? Of course. No human-created society or system is perfect, and the Finns, of course, are no exception. There will always be flaws when we humans come together to create anything. Their trust, though, in what they have created together to benefit the majority instead of the minority, pays off in abundance. And again, we're not talking about material abundance, though Finland is not a poor country by any means. Instead, we're talking about abundance as defined. Okay, you're going to have to follow me on this one. You're going to have to follow me. Suspend all disbelief. A guy named Bashar, which is a multidimensional being channeled by a guy named Daryl Anka. Okay, I just put it out there.
Okay.
Put it out there. I don't know about that. I mean, there's Abraham Hicks. There's lots of multidimensional channels, beings being channeled. But this one I hadn't run into before. His name Bashar. And I just liked what Bashar had to say about abundance. You know, you can believe or not believe all the rest of that stuff. But abundance, Bashar says, is the ability to do what you need when you need to do it. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. So money and material means can certainly help us do that, but trust is the key to that kind of abundance, that you're going to have what you need when you need it. You're trusting in the flow of the divine to provide whatever it is that is needed in the moment for you to accomplish your goal. Yes, that could be money, but it also could be the right person coming to your aid at the right time, the right book falling at your feet, the right song on the radio that inspires the solution that you need. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. The paradox, Bashar says, is that when we trust in the right teacher, that holy voice for God instead of the ego, we don't have to worry about the process, or what teacher Mike Dooley calls the cursed hows. We don't have to be fearful about how whatever it is we need will appear. We just trust that it will. That what we need to do, whatever we need to do, whatever we need to get it done, is going to come our way at the right time. We'll have the right place, the right action. The more you're okay with this process, Bashar says, the faster it will go. When we enter that flow of trust, we're carried along to the solution much faster than if we heed the ego's voice that wonders how this is all going to work out, and all of life is a struggle, and this is never going to work. That just slows us down. Life is never a struggle when you surrender, when you go with the holy flow that leads to abundance, that ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. So how do we enter this flow of trust? Well, I am so glad that you asked. Our reading from the Course holds some clues today. It tells us that each day we struggle against the flow of trust by listening to those kleptes or lestes. We have a choice. You die each day to live again, the Course says, until you cross the gap between the past and present, which is not a gap at all. Forgive the past and let it go, for it is gone. You stand no longer on the ground that lies between the worlds. You have gone on and reached the world that lies at heaven's gate. You have gone on. You are in abundance. You're not on the ground that lies between the worlds. You have reached the world that lies at heaven's gate. That's abundance. Forgiveness is always the key. to entering the flow jubilance. Stop beating yourself up for not being in the flow of Spirit. Let that guilt go. Take a deep breath. And just surrender yourself to this moment. And trust that if you do, you will find yourself at heaven's gate. You will find yourself in that place of abundance where whatever you need will arrive so you can do whatever needs to be done whenever it needs to be done. As the Finns and the Course remind us, we never do any of this alone. The Finns realize they sink or swim together, and so the Course reminds us to look gently on others and behold the world in which perception of your hate has been transformed into a world of love. This jubilance is the flow of trust, where we look at one another gently, not harshly, where we understand that the only power structure that will bring happiness, even in this time of pandemic, is realizing that it is always some of us for all of us, because we are all in this together, whether the ego likes it or not. Let us, like the Tao's sage, enter this flow of trust this morning. May we be faithful to the people who are faithful, but may we also be faithful to those who are not faithful. The key to doing this is through forgiveness. It is through trusting that the Spirit is working all things out toward our collective good. This jubilance is how we live in abundance, how we live an extraordinary life by moving in harmony with the world. This morning I invite you to trust that one voice that speaks nothing but love, that instills us all with sisu, that perseverance, to persist even in the face of the ego's chaos, and brings about the abundance that dispels all fear and provides everything we need when we need it. Enter that flow of trust this week, jubilance, so the whole world may hear God's one voice speaking through you, and then together we all get to say, oh yeah. 2, 3, 4. The voices that we hear all compete to win our ear. One seeks to divide, the other has no side. One sows confusion, the other breaks illusion. One voice, soft as the rain. One voice removes all the pain. We speak with one voice that the world can hear. One voice that's called to love. One voice, in unison we sing. One voice, vibrating on one string. One voice, we really have no choice in. One voice, today. Peace, we are joy, we are one voice. Oh yeah, all right. I invite you during this time of contemplation, wherever you are, if you have a candle to light or just a place to get comfortable and enjoy this time of contemplation. I've had my say, so it's time now to listen for that small voice, that voice of Spirit that calls us from the deep. strap challenges. Hang on. Ready, Michael? Still making notes over there. 2, 3, 4. What kept me sad was the story in my head about what I never had, what I never said. But I can sing a song the flowers gave to me. It helps me to be strong, it helps me to be free. When I'm walking with you, I'm walking with God. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking with God. When I'm praying with you, I'm praying with God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. When I'm laughing with you, I'm laughing with God. When I'm singing with you, I'm singing with God. In the arms of my friends, I'm in the arms of God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. There is a road, a journey we must take. It starts from within, it's just a thought away. I can sing a song the flowers gave to me. It helps me to be strong, it helps me to be free. When I'm walking with you, I'm walking with God. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking with God. When I'm praying with you, I'm praying with God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. When I'm laughing with you, I'm laughing with God. When I'm singing with you, I'm singing with God. In the arms of my friends, I'm in the arms of God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. Yes, if God is all there is, then everything is God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. Oh, yeah.
Bing, bing, bing.
We'll all just end at different places. That's fun.
You're so individual.
I know, you got to keep up that individuality. We're all one, but we're all different, I guess. Whatever. All right, so as we have told everyone going along here, I do want to say thank you once again to everyone who floated us through last month. We did end up with a $400 surplus, and so thank you everyone who has given and given generously to Jubilee Circle as we have gone through this month of social distancing and unable to meet here physically. Your support means so much, and it means that we are able to keep doing what we are doing in this community and growing this community and all around the world now, since there are no barriers to folks who want to tune in and see us, whether they're watching us live or they go back and watch the recordings. So this has been an opportunity in the midst of a challenge, and I'm grateful to everyone who has stepped up during this time of challenge and has made this an opportunity to increase their giving, to increase their support of this community. So I'm very grateful. And so it has proven that what we say is true as we do pass the basket around. And there is a virtual basket you can visit right now at jubileecircle.com, or on the Facebook page there are links to our donation page at jubileecircle.com. And we thank you in advance for availing yourself to that page and giving as generously as you can. And the affirmation that we say has been proven in so many ways in this past month or so, and that is that God's love has always met and will always meet my needs. I give freely and receive joyfully, knowing that giving and receiving are the same. So as you give, you receive. As we receive, we give back out. It is one big circulation, and we do not want to stop up that circulation. So thank you all so much for being generous in this time. And so now we will adjourn to our talkback. So the Zoom link is on the Facebook page. It is also at jubileecircle.com. If you want to join us for our talkback session, you get to, if you haven't come to one of these, it's a really easygoing. We just talk about your thoughts about the message. I love it when people disagree with me. So please, if you were like, no, I don't agree with that at all, come to the talkback and tell me all about it. That's the kind of conversation we love around here. So so please join us on Zoom in just a few minutes. Carolyn should soon be opening up that room, and everyone can gather there, and we hope that you will gather there with us. Michael, are we going to sing our song?
Yeah, let's have a song.
Sure, let's have a song. So we thank you all for being here. We thank you all for joining us in this virtual time. And we do want to remind us all that it is some of us for all of us. Oh, and I didn't thank the band, Tricia Fopp, Michael Reisman, Beth Hart, Keith Edwards. I keep rehearsing your name during the week. And Janice Newborn on the banjo. I'm Candace Shalou, the spiritual director here. So, we are here for all of us, some of us for all of us. We are here for all of us. And we thank all of you out there for being here for us. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Go in peace and joy. And let us all say,
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like finishing the piece 10 minutes after.